hace un año más o menos, pero esta es mi primera vez que vengo acá a Uruguay y estoy muy agradecida primeramente. Y mi pregunta es, yo sé que soy abundante, pero me siento vacía. Y bueno, me gustaría saber qué hacer con eso. Gracias.
Well, empty is great. Because now you can start to fill it up with the right things, no? You know, in order to experience abundance, experience love, to experience that vibration, firstly we have to let go of everything that's not real. The fear, the anxiety, that place of not deserving. And once you have that empty, you can start to fill it with unconditional love. Now the thing is, are you talking about material abundance or spiritual abundance? Because spiritual abundance is the physical abundance or material is a consequence of that. Because often people have everything, but they don't feel like they have anything. Why? Because they're not open to receive. If you're open to receive, you're always complete with what you have. And when you're complete with what you have, you're living in abundance, gratitude, praise, and as a consequence, everything else starts to come. Everything else starts to come. So really, all work comes from the inside out. Because when there's nothing inside, nothing external is ever enough. You always need more, 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 more. But it can't fulfill you. Okay, so you just have to focus on expanding your experience of consciousness, finding that internal love. Once you have that, you'll see the abundance you already have. Hmm?
And I would like to know how you started this path.
So for me, I wanted to be free. I wanted to live without fear. I didn't want to rely on everyone else for my happiness. And I had so many abandonment issues, so much fear of not being good enough. And I was very successful, no? I was always excellent at everything I did because I was always obsessive and focused, and until I was the best, I didn't stop. But I could see that everything I achieved, everything I did, was to prove to the rest of the world that I had value. But I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And I had an incredible fear of not being good enough. And I got to a point in my life, you know, if you know my story, I went through different steps, no? Like when I was 28, everyone died, and I lost all my money. But then later there was other things that happened. I can't say my path was easy. It wasn't. It was very hard and very shocking. But it took me to a point where I decided to take absolute responsibility for myself. And that was the turning point. I let go of everything, everything illusionary, image. I surrendered to everything. I was open to everything. And I focused on consciousness all the time. That's all I wanted to do was wake up. And I didn't care what I lost because I knew I had nothing. And in reality I had everything, no? But I didn't have what I wanted. And that was freedom. So that's how it happened. That's a very shortened version, no? And the system is what I did. You know, that's every step of the system is what I did to experience unity, or the experience I have now. That's a summary.
Empezamos ayer, primera vez también que estamos aquí. Muchas gracias.
Bienvenido.
Y me gustó mucho la parte donde nos explicaron ayer sobre la importancia de expresar las emociones, el ejercicio para sacar la rabia. Pero me gustaría un poquito profundizar un poco más en cómo expresar el miedo, porque en general el miedo lo que hace, al menos en mí, es paralizar. Entonces, ¿cómo lo podemos manifestar o sacar o ver de una manera más sana para no quedarnos ahí paralizados?
I have a theory that fear isn't an emotion. It is the result of an emotion. It paralyzes us. And below that, there's an emotion. There's a memory, something that happened in our lives that will provoke an emotion. So when you experience that like panic attack now, you have to stop, go in deeply, and try to connect with the emotion that's underneath. Okay? And it's easy to do with the facets. You know, the facets have a vibration. And that vibration is lifting everything up. So everything that's in a low vibration starts to release. All the emotions that are stuck, the traumatic memories, everything that's based in fear starts to elevate. And the facets will do that automatically. You just need to go in, and allow it to happen. You know, the facets will do their work. If you feel something in your body, put the facet there. Oh, there's something happening here. Oh, there's something happening here. And it will come up. Okay, so fear paralyzes. Now, I have to connect. What's the emotion underneath? What's provoking that? Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, I feel sad. And I connect with the sadness. And because all panic attacks or all extreme fears have an accumulation of emotion. And that's what controls you. It could be something from when you're a child. It could be something irrelevant to the head. But children are very sensitive, no? And things affect us visually, through our ears. You know, all different things affect us. Whether it's rational or irrational is of no consequence. It marks us. So we have to allow that to move. Yeah? So that's how.
This morning I was practicing meditation. And I used a facet because before I came here, I work in child defense. And I was in a case where some people were sitting to wait for a solution because there was a little child involved or so. Normally, if I feel the stress on that moment, I use a facet, and then I get a little bit
calmer.
Me siento un poquito más calmo.
But this time it
Pero
didn't
esta
work.
vez no funcionó.
So
Entonces,
I delayed the solution. And I came to
postergué
Uruguay.
la solución. Lo que hice fue venirme a Uruguay directamente.
This morning I feel so
Y esta mañana me
guilty
sentí
about it.
tan culpable por eso.
I couldn't give a solution.
Porque no dio una solución en ese caso, la postergó.
Well, everybody was waiting for it.
Y todo el mundo estaba esperando la solución que yo diera. Y de alguna manera, esta mañana sentí que me dolió.
I was wondering,
y me preguntaba yo,
what would be the
I'm going to answer. You know, firstly, you should congratulate yourself because you had the maturity to see that you weren't clear. And if you have that maturity, you're taking responsibility. You didn't make an impulsive decision. You took this very seriously, no? So you should congratulate yourself for that. Now, you've got to see that place where you always feel guilty. And you have to connect with that. And you have to let it go. You know, because most humans just do things superficially because it serves them. And you've made a different choice. And that, for me, is impressive. And you should be proud. Not beating yourself like, ooh. But you do that all the time, don't you? You're never good enough, are you? Ah, I see. And you're very sad with that. Because you can see that self-violence. And you're going to let it go here. Yeah? Good.
Quisiera saber cómo manejar, porque hago las facetas. He sentido mucha paz. Sé lo que me sucede después que hago la faceta. Pero hay un aspecto que me insiste en el corto tiempo que la estoy haciendo. Es que mentalizo.
¿Qué querrías decir con mentalizar?
Mentalizo la situación. O sea, sé lo que me pasa, lo expreso, más me dice, no mentalices tanto.
Okay.
Con respecto a mentalizar, sentir y soltar.
Yes, okay. So lots of spiritual people and lots of nice people. This is a habit of nice people. Nice people always fix everything in their head. You know, we always have an excuse for everything, an excuse for everyone. We have like this vision of life so we can adjust everything. And we need to understand everything so we can adjust it. Okay? Stop. What you have to do is be raw. You have to go into the depth without understanding anything and move it. Because the majority of things that control us are just a consequence of a root stress. The root stress has no reason. It's just the creation of fear. Why do we create fear? To have a human experience. Humans live in duality. Babies are not born in duality. They're completely unconditional love. Then they close, create their little personalities, have their fears, have their ideas, their judgments, their separations. That we have to heal. Because we think that love's external. We think God is our parents. And then all of a sudden they become human. So we're disillusioned. And we start to do this, fixing everything, blaming everything. So we have to be very, very, very vulnerable, very inside, very innocent, and just allow the process to take place. Yeah? That's why they're saying to you, stop mentalizing. Okay, and you know, spiritual people do that because we're so boring. You know, in the beginning, we're completely asleep. And then now we're spiritual and we have a bigger box of ideas, you know. We need to do this, we need to face there, we need to feel this, we shouldn't feel that. We should wear this, we shouldn't eat that. And none of it's true, it's just another belief system. And sometimes it's harder to let go of than the fundamental one, the one we had. So we have to start catching that. Because what we want is an experience of innocence and love like we had when we were children, no? How are children? They're joyful, they're innocent, they dance, they don't take classes, you know, they sing, they don't know if they're in tune or out of tune, they're spontaneous, they speak the truth, they have no masks, they don't have judgments, they love everyone, they love themselves automatically. They don't even think about it. It's just like that, no? It's like that. Hmm? Hello.
Y consulta la siguiente. Yo sufro porque mis tópicos, mis seres queridos, no están en sintonía con bloques. Son abiertos de mente.
¿Son abiertos de mente?
No son abiertos de mente. Entonces, yo sufro cada día, tratar de mostrarles videos, contarles de qué se trata, esto también, de toda la energía, de todo lo bueno que hay en la tierra, pero siento esa pared. Entonces mi consulta es, yo tengo que dejar que ellos fluyan a su manera o seguir intentando atrayéndola a esta energía.
Okay, so you know what's important? You loving you. You know, everyone has a process. And everyone, it's like a maturing process. Different people are different. And you need to, unconditional love allows the space for people to have their own experience. And as a mother, you want to control them. But also, you want their approval. You want them to say, okay, bueno, mummy, you're going to La I. And they don't want you to go to La I. And that's okay. But you know what makes children change? Or husbands change? Or wives change? Or parents change? Is your change. Because they're all your mirrors. If you have a judgment, even something you're not conscious of, it'll be reflected. So you need to focus on you. Okay, they don't need to approve. And you certainly do not need to suffer. You come here to do the opposite. And it's an interesting thing, no? Because parents are often very rigid. And then they mature and they change. And the kids that wanted them to change before have now become rigid. You know, because they're you. They're you. And lots of parents see that. Huh? Your judgments. Huh?
Mi pregunta es, ¿cómo puedo lograr amarme más?
I love myself more.
This is what the system is for. You know, it's an interesting thing. That seems to be my favorite word at the moment. It's an interesting thing. But we don't know we don't love ourselves. We don't even know what it means. But when we start to cultivate consciousness, we have a place to sit and we start to see our behaviors. The place where we judge ourselves, the place where we abandon ourselves, those places where we're not loving ourselves, where we're violent with ourselves. And as a consequence, we can change it. But first, we have to see it. Because we all have this idea in our heads of how we are. You know, if I say describe yourself, firstly you describe what you do. You know, because we think that's who we are. And you describe a lot of different things. A lot of them will be true, and a lot will be false. And all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing yourself. Lots of people say, I'm a very positive person. And then they start to see, ooh, maybe I'm not so positive. Maybe I'm really violent with myself. In fact, I'm focused on fear all the time. Oh no, I'm very spiritual. I'm always in the moment. You're never in the moment. This is sure. This is sure. And as you start to cultivate a space where you can sit, you'll start to see that. And if you watched my movie, Why Walk When You Can Fly? If not, I'll show it to you. I know all of this because I did the same. I had all these ideas about myself, and none of them were true. Huh? It was just ideas. So as a consequence, you start to see, and you can change. Yeah? That's how you love yourself. The path is in. In. You know, people think loving myself is out. Doesn't work.